Auto sequence startup.
Just under 3 minutes until launch, and everything is go for launch.
Podium bus voltage and current nominal. Ops 2, switch to GNC1, verify ready for nav mode.
LC, GNC1, or nav ready for nav.
Ops 2, switch to nav. LC Ops 2, switched to nav.
LC, GNC1, or nav telemetry verify.
The teams opted to move to the end half of the 5-minute launch window with a new T-0 time of 4:32:42 a.m. Central Time.
Mark. T-minus 1 minute, 30 seconds.
We're well into the terminal count with T-minus 60 seconds and counting.
T-minus 30 seconds. Godspeed, Doug Harvey. T-minus 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Engine ignition.
We have liftoff. The Antares NG-18 launch vehicle from all flights.
We have liftoff of Northrup Grumman's 18th Commercial Resupply Services mission. The SS Sally Ride has begun its journey to the International Space Station. The first stage is performing nominally so far.
Is operating steadily at 100% thrust. Nominal. Core pressurization valves functioning as expected. Vehicle remains nominal.
One minute into the flight, no issues are being tracked with the Antares rocket.
We are passing through max Q. Vehicle remains nominal.
Antares is passing through max Q, the area of maximum dynamic pressure on the rocket.
Power remains nominal. Passing through 50,000 feet.
I got nothing. I lost it. It's gone.
Attitude remains nominal. Passing through 5,000 feet per second. Core pressurization valves continue to function as expected. Engines remain nominal at 100% thrust. Approximately 100 seconds to MECO. Passing through 100,000 feet. Power remains nominal.
Now at the 2-minute mark, everything is going as planned. You're hearing the Wallops Range Control Center reporting a good flight of the Antares rocket.
Vehicle attitude remains nominal. Nominal attitude. Core pressurization valves continue to function nominally. We have begun slow throttle down.
Throttle down is the precursor to main engine cutoff. MECO occurs at the 3-minute 18-second mark of the flight, followed right after by first stage separation. Coming up at the 3-minute mark, just seconds away from main engine cutoff.
Thrust. And main engine cutoff. Stage 1 separation.
First stage separation confirmed from Wallops's Range Control Center, just as planned, about 6 seconds after main engine cutoff. Less than 20 seconds to go until fairing separation to unveil the Cygnus cargo spacecraft.
Good engine performance on stage 1. Stage 2 ignition in approximately 10 seconds. We have fairing separation.
Fairing separation is confirmed. Cygnus is now outside of its protective shell and is continuing to climb into its preliminary orbit.
And we have stage 2 ignition.
And with stage 2 ignition, the second stage engine will burn for about 2 minutes, 46 seconds.
The stage 2 Castor 30 XL motor will burn for approximately 2.5 minutes. Attitude remains nominal. Stage 2 TVC is nominal. Electrical power remains nominal. Attitude is nominal.
Coming up on the 5-minute mark of the flight, with second stage burnout expected at the 6-minute 53-second mark of the flight. At the time of second stage burnout and orbital insertion, Cygnus will be at an orbital altitude of 109.5 miles or 176.2 kilometers.
Attitude remains nominal. Stage 2 TVC is nominal power. Attitude remains nominal. Approximately 60 seconds remaining in stage 2 burn. Attitude remains nominal.
6 minutes into the flight of Northrop Grumman's Antares rocket, under a minute now until stage 2 burnout and orbital insertion.
Vehicle attitude remains nominal through stage 2 burn. Stage 2 TVC is nominal.
Coming up on stage 2 burnout.
We have stage 2 burnout. Beginning reorientation for payload separation. We have good insertion. Antares is currently in orbit and will coast for approximately 100 seconds prior to payload separation.
Cygnus has reached its preliminary orbit insertion. Next, we'll be looking for Cygnus to separate from the second stage, which will occur at 8 minutes and 52 seconds after liftoff, about 2 minutes from now.
Antares power remains nominal during this coast.
We're continuing to hear good callouts across the board. Everything is nominal at the stage of the flight.
Approximately 60 seconds from payload separation. Vehicle attitude remains nominal. Vehicle power remains nominal.
Now, 8 minutes into the flight, Antares continues to perform nominally to put the SS Sally Ride Cygnus on its way to the International Space Station. Spacecraft separation is expected in less than 1 minute.
Power remains nominal. Approximately 30 seconds from payload separation. Antares remains nominal. And we have payload separation of the Cygnus spacecraft.
Spacecraft separation is confirmed. Antares launched at 4:32:42 a.m. Central Time, 5:32 a.m. Eastern, at the end half of the launch window. At the time of launch, the International Space Station was flying over the Indian Ocean southwest of Australia.
Okay, launch team, let's maintain our discipline, close out the pad, proceed with our post-launch checklist. Step 448, prop 1. Could you give status on pulse purging?
LC prop 1, first helium pulse purging cycle is complete.
You can see some celebration from the Range Control Center at NASA's Wallops Flight Facility. Cygnus has successfully separated from the second stage of the Antares rocket, and at this time, operations of the vehicle will move to Dulles, Virginia, under the direction of Northrop Grumman's Cygnus flight controllers. The SS Sally Ride has successfully moved through its milestones to get it into its preliminary orbit. It will spend the next 2 days catching up with the space station for a rendezvous and capture, followed by the installation of the vehicle to the Earth-facing port on the Unity module. You're looking at a live view of the Cygnus flight control room in Dulles, Virginia. This team is diligently working as they now have control of the Cygnus spacecraft now that it is in its preliminary orbit and separated from the Antares rocket. If you're just joining us, Northrop Grumman's 18th Commercial Resupply Services mission just launched from Launch Pad 0A at the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport, part of NASA's Wallops Flight Facility. Cygnus is carrying 8,200 pounds of scientific experiments, food, hardware, and supplies to the people living aboard the International Space Station. We highlighted a couple of the scientific experiments on board, but this Cygnus is also carrying a number of tools as well as hardware that our spacewalkers might use in future spacewalks. You can get a breakdown of what's on board now. Joining me here today to talk a little bit about the space station and this resupply mission is Jeff Arendt, manager of the Systems Engineering and Integration Office in the International Space Station program. Jeff, do we have you?
Loud and clear. Good morning, Kelsey.
Good morning. So Jeff, this kicks off an extremely busy period for the space station with a series of upcoming spacewalks. How will today's Cygnus launch support those operations?
Well, first off, I have to say it was a spectacular launch, and I want to congratulate the entire team from Northrup Grumman with their Cygnus and Antares teams, to the spaceport, to the cargo mission contract team who packed the cargo, and the NASA team supporting this mission. Definitely a gorgeous launch, and we're happy that Cygnus is on its way to the ISS. As you mentioned, Cygnus is carrying some important spacewalk hardware. One critical set of hardware is what we call a mod kit, which is a collection of brackets that the crew will install outside while on the spacewalk that's currently planned for November 15th. The crew will partially assemble it inside. Just hold on a second here. Inside, and then they will take it through the airlock and install it at the base of a solar array wing so that it can be a support structure for a future set of rollout solar arrays. So there's direct support of the spacewalk with the hardware they will use, but there's also some indirect support. Cygnus will be bringing up some food treats for the crew, so indirectly supporting the operations with some much-deserved treats for the crew. They will have their usual menu, but they will also have some special requests like peanut butter, olives, several cheeses, and even pumpkin spice cappuccino. And the team has loaded some fresh fruit as well: apples, blueberries, oranges, and some ice cream in the freezers, chocolate and vanilla, and some of the special flavors that the crew has requested. So, good times.
Jeff, that sounds awesome. And you were just talking to us about the numerous U.S. and Russian spacewalks that are coming up before the end of the year. But that's not the only thing the flight controllers have their eye on in mission control. Can you tell us a little bit more about what's on the horizon for the rest of the year?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So for the next few weeks, the team will be very busy with visiting vehicle arrivals at ISS, science being conducted, and the 7 upcoming spacewalks. The arrival of NG-18, as well as a SpaceX mission later this month, will have the flight control team and the crew busy getting the space station in configuration for the berthing and docking and for the thousands of pounds of cargo transfers that the crew will be doing. We have a lot of science that needs activating and tending to quickly after it arrives. There are numerous payloads that fall into this category of needing immediate attention, U.S. payloads as well as international payloads from our European and Japanese colleagues. And with the 3 U.S. and 4 Russian spacewalks in the same time frame, the ground team is very carefully managing the crew's time. And it's really not that easy trying to juggle as many tasks as that we're planning to be doing. So a very busy time on the ground and on board. Having said that, we are hoping to be able to give the crew and much of the team the Thanksgiving holiday off. And back to the food theme, the crew will have holiday food available to help celebrate and take a short break. Also, something else this month we have is the Artemis mission. The targeted launch date is November 14th, and the teams are working to make sure ISS, SpaceX, and Artemis coordinate shared assets and can all complete our missions without issues.
So Cygnus is expected to arrive at the space station on Wednesday, November 9th, with a rendezvous and capture early in the morning. You were just talking to us about the crew members on board. Can you tell us a little about the milestones that we should expect for Nicole Mann and Josh Cassada?
Absolutely. So, but before that even, the Northrup Grumman team will deploy the Cygnus solar arrays and conduct a series of burns using Cygnus thrusters to get the vehicle closer to the station. The space station team will be getting ready as well, putting the ISS solar arrays in a good orientation for the Cygnus approach. Cygnus will arrive in the vicinity of ISS, and then it will go through a series of holds and what I call resumes to methodically get closer and closer to the station. And then it will remain steady for its capture. Astronaut Nicole Mann will be driving the Canadian arm for the capture, which is planned for at around 4:05 a.m. Central Time on Wednesday. She'll get assistance from Josh Cassada with cameras and procedures as she maneuvers the arm to reach out and grapple the Cygnus. The crew, of course, had ground training on monitoring the Cygnus as it approaches and with the Canadian arm operations. But the crew has also been preparing on board the station with simulations and actual movements of the arm in practice sessions. After capture, our ground control team will berth Cygnus to the Node 1 Unity module. And then after berthing, the crew will open the hatches, which should be done around noon Houston time on Wednesday. The team in space, as well as on the ground, have practiced all these activities and are ready to go.
Jeff Ahrens, thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
So that's what this is all about, the continuous research contributions made in microgravity and assisting our astronauts who make it happen. We heard about some of the science on board. We heard about the mod kit launching on Cygnus for a November 15th spacewalk. And we even heard about the peanut butter and pumpkin spice cappuccino heading their way. To recap today's events, an Antares rocket launched from the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport on Wallops Island, Virginia at 4:32 a.m. Central, 5:32 a.m. Eastern, towards the end of the launch window while the station was flying over the Indian Ocean. It brought the SS Sally Ride, a Cygnus cargo spacecraft out of Northrop Grumman, into its preliminary orbit. And while we won't cover this event live, the next major milestone for the spacecraft is to deploy its solar arrays. 2 days from now, on Wednesday, November 9th, Cygnus will arrive at the orbiting laboratory. Our coverage of rendezvous and capture begins at 2:30 a.m. Central Time. Cygnus is expected to be robotically captured at the controls of NASA astronaut Nicole Mann and Josh Cassada around 4:05 a.m. Central. We'll continue on with live coverage of its installation to the space station, a job conducted by robotics controllers here in Houston. These ground controllers will bolt Cygnus into place on the Earth-facing port of the Unity module. Throughout the week, the astronauts on the space station will work to unload the cargo, and Cygnus is expected to stay bolted to the space station for about 2.5 months, and until its departure, currently scheduled for January 2023. Thanks for joining. This is Mission Control.